Women need to talk. And women want detail in conversation. Men, we just don't talk as much generally. I mean, it's not as though that men never talk, but we just don't talk as much. Women are much more wordy than men are. They did a study of young boys and young girls, little boys and little girls, as they played. First of all, girls talk a lot more than boys. But secondly, a lot of what boys do is make noises. Women or girls are words, they just talk. But little boy, but little girls just talk. So with women, it's the way they're connected to our world. And again, it's a profoundly important need that women have. It's open and honest, detailed communication, including our emotions. And this is again where men become uncomfortable, because we'll talk about things, but we don't want to talk about our feelings. Well, when Karen and I, during the time we were dating, I found some way to avoid all of her, constant desire for information. And we talked, but I was very guarded. And the truth is, I was very damaged. I had a lot of hurts. I had a lot of insecurities and things like that. I was very dominant. If you would have seen me then, I had the same personality that I have today as far as, the leadership type personality, strong personality, but it wasn't sanctified. And I was very insecure and very unhealed. But the way I dealt with that when I was growing up is I didn't know how to deal with pain, so I didn't. So I just put my chest out and acted like I was very confident. And if you got in my zone, you don't get my zone. You don't look at me in the eye and you don't talk to me like that. And I just became very, very, macho when you did that, especially if you're a woman. And so Karen would come into my zone and she would begin to pry into my emotions. Not only did she want way too much information, I thought, but she wanted emotional information. It's like, oh, no, we don't give that information up. No, because it can be used against us. And I just thought she's nosy. I just thought she's the nosiest person I've ever met. I've never met anybody as nosy as her. And I used to think, I'm not feeding the monster. Information is the worst thing I could ever give her. It'll just feed the monster, because she's nosy and you keep giving her information, she wants more. So I thought, I'm just not going to talk to her. So I'd come home and she'd say, what'd you do today? And I'd say, nothing. Nothing. Who'd you see? No one. I didn't see anybody. Saw the people I work with. That's what I did. And I would just sit there and I would just defy her in getting information out of me. And she was very frustrated. That's when our marriage wasn't good. So when our marriage turned around, that's when I said to Karen one day, I'll talk as long as you want to talk. I just thought, this is the ultimate sacrifice. This is it. This is like the top of Mount Everest of marriage. I am the greatest man who's ever lived. And I told her, I said, when I get home, let's put the kids to bed, and then we'll talk. And I'll talk as long as you want to talk about anything you want to talk about. And so, I thought two things. One is, I think I'm the greatest man who ever lived. And the second thing I thought is, they'll find me dead tomorrow morning with my brain sucked out. Because she is going to suck my brain out. And so I got home from work that night, and when women are saying, when women ask a question, they say, well, how was your day? Because Karen would ask me every day, well, how was your day? And men will say, my day was fine. No, that's not what they want to hear. When she says, how was your day? Here's what she wants. I came into consciousness at 6:37. I didn't open my eyes for 2 more minutes, but I was a little insecure about my day. And I was feeling kind of troubled about the meetings that were coming up later. And detailed, that's the kind of, and she's sitting there going, oh, really? You felt insecure? Really? That's so good. So I came home that night, and I had to fight Karen. I just thought, she's nosy. She's nosy. But this night I just thought, well, I'm surrendering. I'm going to confess. I've been tortured for years. I might as well confess. And so I'm going to come home tonight and I'm going to talk. So we sit down and she began to talk. And she said, well, okay. So we're going to talk as long as I want to talk, and we're going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. And I said, you got it. You got it. So we sit down and she started talking. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? What about this? Well, the first thing she wanted was a few facts, just to kind of put the past in perspective. You know, what happened here, what happened here, what happened here. Then she got into the emotions. And she said, well, okay, now, when this happened, how did you feel? And I said this to her, because she had always wanted to know about a particular event in my past and how it devastated me. And I said, I just didn't feel it. Karen, I didn't feel anything. And she said, Jimmy, yes, you did feel something. And I looked at her and I said, Karen, I didn't feel anything. I mean, I remember, I just didn't feel anything. She said, yeah, you did. Well, she said, we're going to come back to that one later. And so, now listen, so I'm praying about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later, and I'm in my prayer time, and the Holy Spirit said to me, you actually did hurt when that happened to you. And He took me back, you know how the Lord can do. He took me back in an instant of time to when it happened. Well, I was devastated. And I remember it being a young boy, a teenage boy, when it happened. I remember thinking to myself, I can't deal with that. So I didn't. I just shut it out. And men can do that. Sometimes women can do that, but I did it. And the Lord in that time put me in touch with that feeling and healed me. Now listen, women have a name in the Bible, the same as the Holy Spirit. Name's Helper. Women, and the Holy Spirit, remember, is the dove. He's the sensitive one. He's the feeler. Not that God the Father and the Son don't feel, but He's the comforter. Women can fix men if we'll let them. When we open our soul up to our wife, they look in there and it's just all electrical wiring to them, and they're electricians. They can put it together. They know, they're masters at feelings. And I was so threatened by Karen when she said, well, what's going on in your life, and talk about your feelings. I was so threatened to open my soul up to her. But when I began to open up to her, what I found was it healed me.
Thank you for joining us. Partner with Marriage Today and receive the Marriage on the Rock series on CD or DVD. Marriage Today's latest book, Happy, Happy Love, will supercharge your marriage with practical tips, wisdom, and inspiration for every stage of marriage. Visit happylovebook.com. Follow your interests and get social by connecting with Jimmy and Karen and the Ministry of Marriage Today on Twitter. Become a rock-solid partner today and equip yourself with the tools you need for a successful marriage. $14, $28, or $56 per month. Choose the partnership level that's right for you. Become a rock-solid partner today.